Another important concept that we will discuss in this lecture is regarding anarchism and the very origin and development of anarchism. We could trace to the Stoics philosophy of Zeno and also in the Middle Ages in the writings of Saint Thomas Aquinas. So the Stoics of ancient Greece, for instance, questioned the efficacy of political institutions and relied instead on a social conditions in which men are able to act freely in response to natural instincts of sociability and justice. And in the Middle Ages, Sir Thomas, Saint Thomas Aquinas, having some religious background, and he propagated the very idea of the adequacy of Christian faith in the maintenance of a free and fair civic life. The anarchist idea of a free individual and commended itself to the anti-monarchist of the 16th and 17th century. So, also among the modern political philosophers, we could refer to Joseph Proudhon, the French philosopher, who in his work What is Property? He wrote, I am in the full sense of the word an anarchist. He characterized property as theft and discovered the origin of the state in the institution of private property, which it was the purpose of the state to maintain political authority, as Proudhon pronounced, is an enemy of justice, reason, and fair deal. Proudhon had his constructive physical proposals by the implementation of which he sought to render all sort of coercive social organization as unnecessary. So also we found in the writings of Marx Stirner, the ablest German exponent of individualistic anarchism, maintained that the individual was the only reality and his right to freedom entitled him to overthrow any authority whatsoever. Stirner's ideas reappeared in the philosophy of Friedrich Nietzsche, which was characterized by the exaltation of the rights of the Superman. So also we found the very development of anarchism among the communist followers. So in regards to that, we could stress that the very important second group that led to the development of anarchism was the communist anarchist, noted for the formulation of distinct political and social doctrine. The best known exponent of communist anarchism was Michael Bakunin, who had competed with Karl Marx for leadership of the revolutionary workers' movement in Europe. Bakunin held that the eventual disappearance of political authority, private property, and religion was written in the logic of human evolution. These institutions, which are symptomatic of man's primitive nature, would be superseded by higher and nobler development. Bakunin's disparagement of political authority is grounded in his conviction that it perpetuates inequitable economic conditions and devalues human morality, and the very ideas of Bakunin of a free society would be established on the basis of mutuality. The principle of individual allegiance will no longer be legal and compulsive. Rather, it will be spontaneous and voluntary. And the ideas of Michael Bakunin were adopted by Prince Kropotkin. So, Prince Kropotkin draw his inspiration from Darwin's biological principle of mutual aid and desired the replacement of the coercive state by a way of freely functioning groups. So, according to him, the state is unnatural and artificial inasmuch as it imposes restraints and compulsion on the naturally cooperative instincts and impulses of man. It sustains some laws for the benefit of a group of property owners. Practically speaking, it has not made any positive contribution to civilization. In general, the state of society, which according to Kropotkin would emerge after the disappearance of the state and private property, resembles that earlier as described by Michael Bakunin, and the very upholding of the principles of primitive Christianity. And as regarding anarchism, we found in the writings of the great Russian novelist Leo Tolstoy, who blended the theory of anarchism with Christian socialism. The ideas of Proudhon, Bakunin, and Kropotkin were also popularized in France, and the very traces of anarchist thinking can also be discovered in the attitude of the contemporary pluralist writers. So they emphasized on anti-state and they laid stress on individual personality, and they were in favor of abolition of state, and they are also anti-authoritarian in their view of anarchism. Their only method is methods of persuasion, discussion, and propaganda. They also believe in certain extreme methods of achieving a stateless and an authoritarianless society, and that violent methods they adopted in the form of assassination and demolition of public or official or state institutions and building. And Now we'll discuss certain important characteristics and those chief characteristics that we found that state is an evil as per the views of the anarchist and mainly from the writings of Michael Bakunin and friends Kropotkin, and also in the writings of Leo Tolstoy. So, the social, moral, and economic evils of the modern world are intolerable, but they can neither be cured nor alleviated by any action of the state, which is always an instrument of personal and class domination. So, the anarchist consider state as an evil. So also, they consider human nature is essentially good, but is corrupted by evil institutions, chiefly the state and the church, which made human nature corrupted as presented by the anarchist. And another chief characteristic that we found regarding voluntary economic cooperation, the division of labor and other forms of economic cooperation should always be on a voluntary basis, as argued by friends Kropotkin, Michael Bakunin, also by Leo Tolstoy, and the German political writer Marx Stirner, also the French philosopher Joseph Proudhon. So also they consider the new society can only be resolved from a revolutionary change in the individual and his institutional environment. So, a new society could be resolved from individual revolutionary change and institutional environment, and both would lead the establishment of a new society where there would be no state. And now we'll make a critical assessment of the thoughts of anarchists such as Michael Bakunin, Prince Kropotkin. So, the very critical assessment that we are going to make that they made man competitive impulse versus cooperative instinct. So their very assumption of human nature, as the critics argue, is hardly warranted by facts. Most anarchist doctrines rest upon assumption of the predominance of the social and cooperative, not self-seeking and competitive instincts of man. But it can be pointed out that man's competitive impulses are as powerful as his cooperative instincts. Also, anarchism is characterized by a faith in innate human rationality. The exploration of the world of human psychology, however, has suggested the preponderance of irrational forces determining human behavior, and the anarchist description of the nature of state as a coercive authority is grossly exaggerated. The state functions through both compulsion and cooperation. Many areas of state operation, such as this involving social services, are free from the blemishes of force and coercion. And another feature that we could criticize, that is, the picture of an anarchist society is the picture of the millennium. It always remains an unrealizable ideal, the assumption on which the edifice of the new society is set to be built up are unrelated to the obstinate realities, as also liberty degenerates into a tyranny of the strong in a society which has no controlling agency. In its nature, liberty is limited, and to ensure liberty to all, there must be restrictions on the liberty of each. So they were in favor of unlimited liberty. So hence a condition of unlimited liberty, and we said why the anarchist is a vision that defies realization. Besides, also the anarchist believes in automatic harmony in a society when by myriad groups smacks of utopianism. So it is a kind of utopia as they consider automatic harmony in a society. So also the coexistence of multiplicity of groups naturally involves clash of interest, for the resolution of which a common authority is indispensable. So the very law of state is an instrument which ensures settlement of interpersonal conflicts and maintenance of social equilibrium, as they argued in favor of a stateless society. So there would be overgrowth of political power and a creation of new despotism. So, as we found in the writing of Sir Bertrand Russell in his major work Roads to Freedom, as he observes the anarchist ideal of a community in which no acts are forbidden by law is not, at any rate for the present, compatible with the stability of such a world as the anarchist desire. So, the anarchist, with this their faith in federation of autonomous groups as a desirable substitute for the coercive state of today, remains a drifting explorer in quest of a continent of freedom. So they are considered as pathetic victim of uncontrolled and unseen forces. So the very origin and development of anarchism as we found it stressed in the ancient Greek Stoic philosophy and in the Middle Ages by the religious Saint Thomas Aquinas and by the French philosopher Joseph Proudhon, who in his work What is Property declared as it is theft, and according to him, the very institution of state is nothing but the reflection of private property. So also we found the traces of anarchism in the writings of Max Stirner and Friedrich Nietzsche. So also the communist anarchist, as it was founded by Michael Bakunin and carried out by Prince Kropotkin, and finally Leo Tolstoy, in his writing also reflect the very elements of anarchism in the form of anti-state and giving emphasis on individual personality and against anti-authoritarianism. They laid stress on the very methods of persuasion, discussion, and propaganda. And they had also adopted the violent methods of assassination and demolition of public official state buildings to achieve and to establish their thought of an anarchist society. And the very chief characteristics that we found associated with anarchism, they consider state as an evil, and they consider human nature is essentially good, and human instinct is always voluntary economic cooperation. So also we made the critical assessment on anarchism. So these are the vital points relating to anarchism as an ideal, and which in true sense is an utopia idea which could not further develop and expands its reach. So gradually the very idea of anarchism became obsolete and eliminated from the streams of philosophical ideologies, and anarchism now would be considered as something a dead philosophy.